let nature speak and just let silence tell the story. Take people out on a trail and just let that silent piece be silence. Let the stream in the background flow. Let the wind blow. Tell stories, but don't overdo it and become a character that's out of place in the landscape you're in.
Welcome to the Wilderness Wavelength Podcast.
Episode number 80 of the Wilderness Wavelength Podcast. Welcome to it. My name is George. Scott Sonderwald.
Hey, good to be here.
Yeah, welcome to the show. You're a published author now, best-selling author.
Oh, man. Yeah, like I said, I'm walking around in disguise everywhere. Paparazzi's after me. No, it's been good.
We have a... do you want to introduce our guest for the show?
Yeah, I definitely want to introduce Kevin Gedling. Kevin and I have known each other for a few years, and we've worked together. We've had the odd beer together as well. Kevin is an award-winning heritage interpreter. We're going to get into what is interpretation. He's a professional interpretive guide. He's been working in this industry since 2002 in all mountain parks in both commercial and Parks Canada interpretive and education settings. Kevin's worked for the past 17 years in communications, outreach, engagement in both national and provincial parks. And he lives in Hinton with his partner, Tomoko, and college-age daughter, Rinka. And right now he's serving on the board of directors for the Interpretive Guides Association. And he's a really great landscape photographer. So we'll talk about that later on so you can follow some of his great...
At Kev Ged Photo.
Kev Ged Photo on Instagram. Yeah, you bet. And I'm really excited that we're finally going to be able to put nature interpretation in the limelight tonight. We've talked a lot about different subjects here on Wilderness Wavelengths, but never really done a deep dive into what is nature interpretation. Yeah. Why is it important? How does it work? And both Kevin and I share that in our careers for many years. So I think that's going to be fun. So welcome, Kevin. It's great to have you.
Hey, Scott. Hey, George. Thanks for having me here. It's a cool setting to be doing these from. It's a great place, great garage to be hanging out in.
George has got the man cave. We got a boxing bag behind you, beer koozies, a bear hanging above my head. We got a moose on the wall, some deer antlers.
I got 6
dartboard.
speakers surround sound in here now too.
Oh,
really? I have the lights hooked up, so when I get the tunes going, the lights go to music. It gets pretty wild in here some nights.
Yeah, I've never been here for a dance party.
Yeah, that'll be a podcast episode though.
There you go.
Dance party one.
Maybe it's a little bit like that Will Ferrell movie, The House.
Yeah,
set up a little gambling casino in the back here.
I like that idea.
He's done a casino here before.
Yeah, we've had a poker game. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I want to turn it into I'm getting off topic here, but I want to. I'm starting to think about brewing beer too. So it's.
Nice. I've got years of that. We can chat.
Dig into that too.
Yeah. So
Kevin, what got you into the interpretation realm?
Gosh, what got me into interp? Well, man, not to sound cheesy. I mean, it's a podcast and there's a bit of scotch, but really, it was way back when I was a kid, and it sounds funny to say that, but. Yeah, no, my parents and my grandparents would get us out to, parks pretty much every weekend. Yeah. Like a lot of Alberta people. I grew up a large part in Calgary, a little bit in Invermere, and just went out to national parks like Banff National Park quite often. Kananaskis was a pretty big part of things, and just down the street in South Calgary where I used to live was Fish Creek Provincial Park. Bow Valley Ranch and Velches Flats there, kind of at the end of Elbow Drive, is kind of a cool place to go and hang out. So I think I was just seeing these cool people that worked for parks at the time, ranger types and warden types, and going, man, I just want to do something cool like the work they're doing. And interpretation just kind of was a cool fit, so it was something I always kind of looked towards doing. And just kind of lined up my time after high school, aiming towards becoming an interpretive guide and aiming towards a career with that line of work. And
it's worked out.
All kind of come together. Yeah.
Right. So, I kind of like to back up a bit. We throw out the word nature interpretation or the term.
Yeah.
And some of our listeners are going to wonder, what the heck is that? Do you want to, maybe differentiate nature interpretation from just regular education or outdoor recreation? Like, how would you define that term?
Well, it's a term that it has a couple different definitions, I think. But really, I think stepping back for a sec, when people hear the word interpretation, I think people get quite confused and think, well, what's your favorite language? I'm like, well, like je n'ai pas français, je ne comprends pas, right?
Right.
I don't have very much French. So it's not about the interpretation of language, but almost about the interpretation of nature's language.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that when we talk about nature to people, often they have questions, they want to learn more about it. But it's not just the delivery of information, being a know-it-all, telling everyone about the facts and figures that you know really well. I mean, nobody likes a know-it-all, so you can talk about all the information you want. But interpreters are able to take information that's really important and cater it in different ways to different audiences of different learning styles, and then bring that information to them in a more provoking and engaging way that's catered to the people and the audience that it serves. So you wouldn't just recite information at children because they wouldn't get it, but you might find cool ways to connect them with the theme of the information and get them switched onto the content so that later in life they're interested. A good friend of mine who works in the industry down in Banff, she often likes to say that as interpreters, we're there to, and maybe you'll frown at this, Scott, but trick people into learning.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, just finding those cool facts and information pieces that your audience will like. And next thing you know, get them hooked on without them having even really realized that actually they're learning about the most important themes and concepts that we have running around us as far as the environment's concerned.
Well, I think your friend was really correct there. We used to talk a lot about edutainment, right? This blend between entertainment and education. So you're learning while having so much fun that you don't even know you're learning. And I think a good interpretive program is experiential. It's hands-on. As you mentioned, you're not spouting facts. We have that saying, you don't want to be the sage on the stage. You want to be the guide on the side. So kind of coming alongside people, be it on a forest trail or a mountain peak or a lake, and be connecting with where they're at and bringing them a little further. Provocation, inspiration, exploration, all of those are terms we often use in nature interpretation. I remember for myself when I did my first nature interpretive job, was I 19 or 20, and I couldn't believe I'm getting paid to be outside in nature, leading people around. It was like a dream come true. And the fact that you can make a career of it is pretty astounding, although full-time permanent interpretive jobs are quite rare.
Yeah.
What's a day in the life of an interpreter look like?
Well, it really depends on who you work for. I mean, what I used to get into the industry is working as an interpretive guide, which is pretty different from a regular, provincial national park interpreter. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I think from an interpretive guide's perspective, you could be, I think if you're trying to make a decent living at it, you're trying, like Scott was saying, full-time work, hard to come by.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to go where the industry is going to be. I think you have to kind of live and breathe a bit of that industrial tourism that I know sometimes people kind of really languish at, but it's actually like a really, great place to not just make a living, but make a paycheck and make a regular living at something you love.
So are you mostly on a bus or hiking with people then as your interpretive guide experience? You want to sort of peel back the curtain and show us what that would have looked like practically?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it really depends where you live, but I mean, as an interpretive guide, I started off actually in Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories, but the main bread and butter for being an interpretive guide is it's got to be in Banff National Park. So in about 2002 or so, I found my way into driving minibuses. I'd had my taxi driving license from before, so most people don't know, Kevin, you're a taxi driver. Like, that's a whole other horror story, but. But basically, I just got my class 4 and started driving these small vans with small groups of people in Banff for a company called Discover Banff Tours. Yeah. And the interview is the coolest thing. It was just, okay, here, jump in the vehicle. Do you have a clean driver's abstract? Yep. Present that. And it just says, okay, I want you to drive and tell me a story. Yeah. I was like, really? Yep. Just anything you want, let it rip.
Cool.
And so I just I had a couple pieces about Banff history, and
Yeah.
drove around and talked about the history of the Bankhead coal town near the town of Banff, and its history as a community, and
Yeah.
a little bit about elk and wildlife you can see in the area. And it was compelling enough that I guess that
Wow.
worked out.
That's
yeah.
a fun interview,
I
man.
like that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
and that was all there was to it. It was about 20 minutes, half an hour drive around, and
Yeah.
we'll let you know. And it's good timing because I was literally staring down the potential of working for a hotel front desk. Was
Okay.
my backup that summer, and this company, a large company that can't name names, but they like to administer an always honest exam, and was asking crazy questions like, like honest questions like, if your friend had taken $2 out of the till, would you tell on them, yes or no? Very weird ethical questions. So I didn't.
Yeah.
I knew I didn't want to work there. But yeah, this Discover Banff company, they really liked the interview, so to speak, and it, took off from there.
Cool.
Yeah.
And the interpretive guides, they have accreditation, right? You can get
Yeah. A lot of guides do. A lot of guides don't. But when you work as an interpretive guide, just driving buses around back and forth without getting on a trail and going hiking, technically you don't actually have to have anything. But a class 4 driver's license and first aid would kind of be it. But it's the minute that person starts taking people further from the side of the roadway into the woods on hiking trails, like official trails in the mountain national parks and provincial parks too in Kananaskis, that they become an interpretive guide, hiking guide. So having the skill set of being a really good driver operator, of course, so you have your group safe, you can drive down the highway and know your landmarks and how to sort of talk about things like while you're edutaining your group on a bus, and then taking them into the woods safely for an 8 to 9 kilometer hike, let's say, to go have a cool experience on whatever alpine trail. Kind of blends some of the responsibilities of that classic old mountain guiding sort of profession, but of course with the safety of an official trail. So you don't have to have ACMG level accreditations, but yeah, there is the Interpretive Guides Association, so you can be a professional interpretive hiking guide 3-season or 4-season. You can be an apprentice guide, which is like leading up to being that, and then there's a simple basic knowledge exam which is administered to guides who don't lead a lot of hikes, and it's like fishing guides or rafting guides or guides that kind of do like regular routine trips but on a frequent basis.
More outdoor recreation based then?
Yeah, where hiking guides, it's a bit more exposure to
Again, before we dive too deep here, Kevin, I
Yeah.
was thinking for people who are new to the interpretive world, so interpretation's interesting because it can be so different, right? You've got maybe a citizen science program that's very involved. You might be doing studies of water quality with a group of grade 12 students, just as an example. Or you might be doing an amphitheater program on a Friday night dressed in a grizzly bear costume, or you might be doing a guided hike with 15 people or 40 people, or a point duty, which you're setting up at a trailhead talking about cougar safety on the trail. You've got some furs and skulls and everything in between. So interpretation is just so vast and broad, and that's not even delving into the non-personal interpretation, which are your interpretive signs and interpretive brochures and that sort of thing. Even podcasting now is another form. So I just wanted to kind of paint a picture, because I think everyone thinks of what nature interpretation is, and they might have a picture of some safari guy in a tour bus pointing out lions. Well, yeah, that's probably on the spectrum there somewhere, but it's really quite broad and vast, the type of interpretation that's done across the country here.
Right. Though it doesn't help that the company that I worked for primarily in Banff for a long time literally called the wildlife tour the wildlife safari. So if they're listening, I'm sorry.
There must have been a lot of expectations that you are going to see wildlife. Right?
Yeah. So maybe that's a good thing to sort of maybe like to share with folks, is that there's certainly, when you're working in tourism, there's the desire for, I guess you could say, a tour guide, hypothetically, to please their guests at just about any cost, right?
Yeah.
So it is like almost, I think, what a I would call it a stereotype, but an impression I think people have of what a tour guide, tour guide in brackets probably does. But when you work in the mountain parks and, you work in an industry that has, many, generations of guides before you, you're actually not just a tour guide. You're in this role of introducing mountains and ecosystems to people from around the world for the first time. You're almost like a little bit of an ambassador to those kinds of places. So if you take your profession a little bit more seriously, you can actually, really paint a really wonderful picture to people of the landscapes that they're visiting and why they're important, and not just, point out the obviousness of like, that's an elk or that's a bear, but literally kind of help them connect with core elements of the ecosystem around them.
Yeah.
And then they also happen to see wildlife. So I think that's what an interpretive guide does, is sort of brings those stories and connections to people and help them sort of appreciate the landscapes they're on vacation in, while also, again, giving them pretty critical information about, this kind of species of wildlife is rare or unique, or those types of things. So
yeah, I like that a lot. You're getting kind of philosophical, and I think we kind of have to with interpretation, like the so what, like why are you doing this? Why would you go do an interpretive program? I think it's deeper than just having fun out in the bush with somebody who knows something. I'm sure you're familiar with this quote, but I had to look it up again here. In the end, we can serve only what we love, and we will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we are taught. So if you want a voting public across Canada or the States or wherever that's conserving parks and protected areas and beautiful places, they're not going to do that unless they love these places, unless they understand the places, unless they've explored them. And I find more and more people are living in cities, and I'm not throwing shade at them for living in cities. That's just a reality. We're a very urban-based society. So why would they want to put their tax dollars to saving these beautiful mountain parks or Grasslands National Park if they've never seen it, if they don't love it, if they don't appreciate it? And I think that's where interpretation comes in. It connects people to place. It connects people to the value of place. And so it's hard not to get a little philosophical about it. And it's one of the few jobs you get fan mail. Like, you get families writing you back months later saying, you changed my life. I've had letters like that. Wow, like we knew nothing about this, and now we're totally turned on to the great outdoors. We're looking at documentaries and getting books, and so it's a very gratifying job, really.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And there's lots of occasions where, I mean, if you're doing it right, you kind of make connections with people like that, and then those connections last like I don't want to say last a lifetime, but kind of they do, I guess. Yeah. So, I mean, one little example I could share is that there was a group from South Carolina, just Carolina Tours, and this woman named Ingrid, and as you can imagine, Carolina Tours, they come across with a big southern drawl, and they're coming up to Banff once a year, and they had me as their guide, and I think I met them in Jasper, and then spent 3 days with them as step-on guide at different points on a bus tour. And it was really cool because one of the most hairy places to be an interpretive guide in the Canadian Rockies has got to be Yoho National Park and the road up Takaka Falls. Do you guys know what I mean?
No, I don't know that one.
It's massive waterfall.
There's a yes, but do you remember the road?
Yes.
So there's a part of the road which you really have to describe it to your bus driver. He doesn't quite understand. So I said, now look, when we get to this thing, you got to follow my instructions exactly. And it's this hairpin turn that are so tight that you can't make the turn even with like a 14-seater van, hardly.
Okay.
You have to back up and then go forward again. It's unique in Canada because how this thing got to be there. And it climbs about maybe 20 or 30 meters in this like incline and this switchback effect. And so this American driver, who's driven all over North America, he's like, "Oh my God, son." And we pulled right, I had to pull forward, back up, beep, 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 up this long switchback, and all the Carolinians, whatever, were, like looking over the edge in absolute terror. And then we get to the top of the thing, and there's only just enough room to pull the nose of the bus forward a little bit to the left, and then continue up the third switchback and up and out of the valley, right?
Oh, wow.
Towards Takaka Falls. So, anyway, so all things to say that that experience and the other ones that we had through that particular group, they went back and requested me back as their guide, like for 3 years in a row following that trip. And it was just kind of cool. You get to kind of know people and keep in touch and send Christmas cards and, and just like, that's just one.
Yeah.
And that's one of the cool parts of guiding and interp is, like you say, like not just, connecting people, but making connections with people, and then they kind of keep in touch with you for a long time. But
yeah,
so
you can even find a wife doing that, can't you?
Well, that's what I've been told. Yeah, that does occasionally happen. And
tell us the story.
Yeah, I guess I should have known this was coming. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, if Tomoko's listening to this, she's probably thinking, Kevin, what have you done? But yeah, you can sometimes meet the people you love while you're on tour. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's not conflict of interest. You didn't need to sign anything like.
No, I don't think it's a conflict. I mean, it depends how you conduct yourself, but yeah, I mean, I used to, as what Scott's getting at is, the Icefields tour while I was working in Banff was the bread and butter of your trip. It was like a 9-10 hour day. And I picked up this beautiful Japanese lady when I was picking up guests from Lake Louise and then continuing on to the Icefields. And, yeah, she was just this really beautiful, impressive person. And, I took a couple pictures, like selfies with her and just had a really good conversation. She had been a travel agent in Japan before coming to Canada. And so that her background kind of had me interested. I was like, wow, this is an adventurous person. And yeah, we took selfies together. I gave her my business card and said, hey, if you want to send me those photos later, let me know. And I dropped her off at the hostel in Banff and then, left it to her. And then it took a couple months later, she sent me emails and then I sent her emails and we just kind of got together about 6 months later.
Wow.
Yeah. Meeting up, but it wasn't one of those things. I had a coworker who, again, I won't name his name, but, he would tell his guests that he's a mountain guide and they'd be like, what? Like it was this whole pickup routine. It's like, I'm a mountain guide. And that's, again, that's that tour guide shtick that sometimes comes up.
Yeah.
And like, you're a guide in the mountains. You're not an ACMG guide, dude. But he would play with that. And yeah, it's kind of sucks. But yeah, that's not what at all what happened with Tomoko.
Well, that paid off for you. That's good stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, that made my life. Yeah. The adventures we've been on have been amazing. But that's another thing. Yeah.
Do you notice a big difference between guiding in Banff and that now you're in Jasper? Like between the two, is it like more touristy in Banff, just like crazy or busy, or?
Well, yeah, I think there's a couple things. Again, like, so, I mean, I work in Parks Canada, so I have the privilege, my imposter syndrome stepping in of being in a secure position where I have, but guiding is very different Banff to Jasper. I think one is that even back when, like, my last summer guiding for Discovery Banff Tours was 2009.
Okay.
But even back in those days, it was still crazy busy like it is today. And that crazy busyness means that you have to have a lot more patience, a lot more situation awareness, a lot more ability as a driver guide to sort of keep up with the congestion and manage your group amongst the hazards that those people present, let alone the hazards of a hiking trail, where Jasper is, I think, a lot less busy, still very busy, but I think Banff has that ability to generate full-time year-round guides, and you can probably opt back and forth between different companies and employers, where in Jasper, it's a bit of a smaller operation, mom and pop companies a lot of the time. There's a few larger employers, but the fragility of the market's a bit different. So in Banff, if there's a downturn in the market like 2008, where the housing crisis, the downturn of the market, tour guides could feel the difference. You could feel that your market had changed. Your employment isn't quite as steady. You're making 25 to 30 hours a week instead of 40. Your tips go down because the market is no longer these really rich Americans. It's more domestic audience that Canadians don't tip as much as Americans do. No offense, Canadians, but you sort of definitely feel it a little bit, where I think Jasper, it's a little bit more susceptible to those trends. So, but in turn, I think in Jasper, I think you have more smaller groups, and dare I say, a little bit more authentic experience. But Banff has lots of smaller companies than way back when I used to work there. So it is possible. It just depends on people finding the right group, the right guide, the right interpretation connection to finding those experiences in Banff.
So I mean, on a good day, it's sunny, everything's going well, people are loving it. It's the best day ever.
Totally.
But the best stories aren't those days. The best stories are the misadventures.
Sometimes.
Yes. Well, if you live
Yeah.
to tell. So I know
Yeah.
guiding people. I've been swarmed by hornets once, ended up in the hospital. I had to guide adults on Mount Seymour in fog that was as thick as pea soup. Take them on a winter survival trek in the backcountry without getting them lost, and then had a poor kid crawl down a tree well and had to save him. But those are the stories that stick with you. I don't remember all the perfect days, right?
Yeah.
So we want to dive into some of that tonight too, Kevin. Tell us
Sure.
some of the fun, exciting, the mishaps, sometimes it's stuff that you shouldn't have done or you learned a lesson.
Okay.
You got any of those stories for us?
I may have a couple of those. Maybe I'll share a couple of good examples first before I delve into something really weird. But Discover Banff Tours. Again, I go back to Discover Banff a lot. DBT, I may call it once or twice, but I mean the Discover Banff Tours. And basically, as a guide with those guys, you got to meet lots and lots of really great people from around the world. So I remember one experience doing the snowshoe tours especially was really great because they were not quite as popular, and you'd always get like small groups of like 3-4 people where you can really connect with people and be completely flexible. So I had this group of 2. It was just a couple who were based at, I forget the name of it, but the Air Force Base in North Dakota. And they decided they want to come for a road trip up to Banff.
Yeah.
And I had them. They were my only 2 clients on the regular trip I had that afternoon. So we used to go to a place called Vista Lake, which is a trail just south, down slope of the 93 South before you
Okay.
get in the Kootenai National Park. And snowshoe down to Vista Lake on a trail. And then these 2 Air Force veterans were having a good time, but you could tell that they were looking for something a little bit more challenging. And they challenged me to find them something challenging. And I'm like, well, it is interpretive guiding. We are supposed to stay on official trail, and I can't take you off trail, but if you want to do something different. They're like, yeah. And so it's like 150, 200 meter elevation gain back to the van. We're in the valley bottom. And I said, we can go up. And he's like, what do you mean? We're like, well, we'll just switch back a couple dozen times, whatever it's going to take. But the road is back up, straight up this slope. We just came 2 kilometers down. We're at the end of the lake. Go straight up through that, and that'll get your heart beating. I'm like, no, I think, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And so, it was like an old 1967 forest fire burn area. So the snow masks a lot of the hazards like tree wells and hollow points underneath the logs and stuff like that. So anyway, long story short is like they really begged me to do this, and so we did. So we went straight back up, switch back to the point where like I was more or less fine because I've done this a couple times in that area before anyway, and I actually was relatively safe. But these 2 Americans who were like really, really, really wanting something more challenging were like just completely tired, and I was like, well, what's going on? But it's not just the physical exertion, but I think having a slightly higher elevation for them, and it was like a little bit sort of March, slightly isothermic snow, so they kind of pushing through a little bit. They were much larger than me, both in like height and size, and I think they were finding that difficult. So by the end of the trip, they were like, that was amazing, that was awesome, but really, really like sweating it out and just, oh my God. And so I guess that'd be one.
You didn't have to do CPR though, but
No.
Yeah.
And then, in hindsight, realizing now that, I should probably stick to my guns with the whole group management thing as an interpretive guide. We're not really permitted to take people off trail and do that kind of little bit of adventure, but not crazy adventure like that had been. But like that, and I think a couple other things like that, I just kind of realized, yeah, this is still fun, but it's still not worth like messing around with. But it was a pretty cool experience. It was fun for those guys. I think if I had another cool experience I could probably share, it would be, oh man, when I used to work with Raven Tours, which is the company in Yellowknife. So in the winters, some winters, I used to go work up in the Northwest Territories with mostly Japanese visitors and take them for snowshoeing under the Northern Lights.
Yeah, they're big on Northern Lights, right? They'll fly around the world to see them.
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. So for a while, it would be summers in Banff, winters in Yellowknife, summers in Banff,
Wow.
winters in Yellowknife, which is strange. Why would you migrate north? But they were paying really well. They would fly you up.
Yeah.
Yellowknife is an amazingly cool city, which is all worth its very own podcast one day. But all to say, Yellowknife, absolutely incredible place to do guiding. And just the way Japanese react to nature and the Northern Lights, they would just, be waiting in these cold cabins, waiting for something to happen. And it's minus 30. They dress up in parkas and they look like kind of igloo people. And finally, like one person sees aurora and they come in through the door, and you've been waiting 3 or 4 hours sometimes, serving them like, caribou stew or, really dry bannock from yesterday's meal or something. And it's not amazing. But then the aurora comes and you see one person pops their head in the doorway of your cabin. And they're all these tired, bored Japanese people at 2:00 in the morning waiting for something. And they just shout at the top of their lungs, "Sugoi!" And you're like, holy hell, what's going on? Sugoi! And they go, "Oh, Sugoi!" And everybody like herds out. And of all the international markets, Japanese is the most emphatic when it comes to appreciating nature. There's so many different groups you can work with, but they're just absolutely appreciating. They're seeing the Northern Lights and almost crying from sheer joy of seeing the aurora and the Northern Lights dance across the sky. And they look at you and like, "Oh, arigato," like as it was like I had something to do with it.
Yeah.
And of course, as a guide, you're just crossing your fingers and hoping like everyone else does. I had lots to do with that.
That'd be challenging. Like,
Yeah.
What if they don't show up? You just pull out your guitar and start singing, or
different aurora guides in the industry had different things. If you are of the culture living in that area in Dene and or Métis or whatever, then you might be able to fall back on your ancestry and tell stories and things. And I'm not of that background, so I have to pull out naturalist things like learning about caribou or props and learning about the history of the area from books and things that I've read, and then try to take those things and convey it through like a language barrier, not speaking Japanese, and do a very sensory oriented information delivery and work with.
So would they have an interpreter that would translate what you're saying, or would you have to sort of fumble through that language barrier?
No, you could work with a like translator. Like we worked as teams with interpretive guides who were Japanese in background.
Okay.
And then they would, kind of learn some of the similar material together. But then, the Canadian like me gets to be the guide, and then the translator, so to speak, is the also interpretive guide. So they have a knowledge base to make up for the gaps in my interpretation, and then together you deliver a cool experience for Japanese visitors.
So what is the Caribou King?
Oh, the Caribou King?
Yes.
Yeah, well that's a secret. No. No. It doesn't really hardly happen anymore. But when I was working up in Yellowknife, I worked up 3 winters there with a company called Raven Tours.
Yeah.
And there was this large festival that most Northerners in the Yellowknife area will remember. It was called the Caribou Carnival.
Okay.
And and for many, many years, about 20 years running, it was like a pageant. And so the town would vote for someone to be the Caribou King. There's a Caribou King and a Caribou Queen every year. And so in my first winter living in Yellowknife, I like being known to the community. I don't know why, I like getting involved, but and someone dared me to run for this. You should run for this, Kev, on my team. So all you need to do is get a nomination form of 4 or 5 locals to sign a form for you, and then you can enter the race.
Okay.
So I did that, and there was this, I forgot the guy's name. His name was Bob. He ended up winning because, of course, he's from Yellowknife and knew everybody in the community. But yeah, I put my name in.
Yeah.
And I ran. I lost, but became more known to people in the Yellowknife community at the time as running for Caribou King, and that was all I was out to do. Was
So what do you have to
Yeah.
do? Speeches or most handsome guy wins or fastest, strongest? Like what's the competition?
it's really just a vote, and you just try to
Oh.
wrangle in as many Northerners as possible. So it's
like
pretty much a
it's like running
popularity.
for mayor.
It's like a popularity contest, but yeah, you volunteer for things and you go and get involved in things. I was volunteering for doing some ESL tutoring stuff and at the local college. And anyway, I just thought with the tour company that we had was so big that all the partners and stuff would vote for me. And
Yeah.
a lot of them did, but this other guy knew a lot more people than me. But still, it was a good way to meet new people and immerse yourself in a community like Yellowknife, which is in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, but
I'm curious with you guys being in the world of interpretation. Like, I'm assuming you guys, you're traveling around, you're going to different parks, you're checking out different interpreters. Has there been a spot where you're like, oh, this is an amazing program, or this guide has changed my life? Anything that comes to mind?
You mean learning from others?
Yeah, or even just
Yeah.
maybe you're in Yellowknife or something, you see something like an interpretive program, you're like, wow, this was amazing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I think when I started in the field of interpretation, I was worried that I was going to get stumped, right? That some ornithologist with a doctorate was going to come and just nail me to the wall.
Yeah.
But that's really not the experience. Most people are just so excited to learn. And I really found so much is just be authentic. People love authenticity. And I find the best interpreters are just real. Mm-hmm. They're humble. It's okay not to know everything out there. But one of the coolest programs I ever was a part of, we did, we take a big seine net. Are you familiar with seine net? It's not like a gill net, but this thing was like 40, 50 feet long. This was in a Saskatchewan park called Echo Valley. And it was a great program. We'd take this net out, put chest waders on the tallest kids or a teacher, and I'd be out there and we'd do a sweep in Echo Lake. And we'd pull the net in, and we would have walleye, pike, spot-tail shiner, fathead minnows, dace, all sorts, probably 10 different types of fish, and we'd load them into tubs, and kids would be just ecstatic. It was all catch and release, but it was a great way for them to kind of learn the fish species. Sometimes you'd catch a monster pike and it'd be thrashing around like an alligator, and just sort of that. I always feel a good interpretive program needs some wow factor. And even now with my staff, I'm like, it's a good program. Where's the wow factor? If you can't point to it, I'm a little dubious. Why should people come, right? But if you're catching thousands of fish and identifying them,
that's
to me
pretty
that's
cool.
still one of the best all-time programs we ever had. How about you, Kevin?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's lots of really, I want to say, influential senior interpreters, but I'll share two quick examples. One is was a guy named Tomoharu Fujimori, and he's a Japanese guide who works in the Banff area, and I worked with him my first season at Raven Tours and for many years afterwards too. And the first time I met him, it was just, I think one was his humble approach to things, just being a translator for me, and I didn't know him very well. I was like, here's this 20-something-year-old talking about trees or something, and he much older than me, maybe he was in his 40s at the time, and he would just translate everything I came up with. And later I got to realize that this fellow was like a really established climber, like he had done Denali, and who the hell is this guy to be translating me, right? Like I should be translating him. But, that humbleness as well as just his appreciation for nature and his approach. So I really watched how he handled groups in Japanese and not understanding Japanese, a little bit now, but not at the time. And just the simple, he would always just say, let nature speak. And it just simply take people out, show them nice things, but don't overtell it. Don't over extravagize it. Just let nature speak and just let silence tell the story. Take people out on a trail and just let that silent piece be silence. Let the stream in the background flow. Let the wind blow. Tell stories, but don't overdo it and become a character that's out of place in the landscape you're in. And so his approach to that was just really, really cool. And would still say kind of influential in the way I like to deliver those experiences these days. So that's one. And I think the other I would share is the opposite, more in like theatrical interpretation, like on stage. I'm good friends with Laurie Schwartz, who's Parks Canada. She's part of the Mountain Wit interpretation troupe in Banff, and just her dedication to total professionalism and coming up with really amazing ways to share on stage the cool natural history stories that are some of the most challenging stuff, and to win awards every time. Like I think like their latest thing with the Interpretation Canada Awards is a fish wish you'd swish. Fish wish you'd swish.
Fish wish.
Which is like what? It's all about aquatic invasive species and getting you to clean, drain, and dry your boat.
Okay.
And I mean, as an outreach education person in Jasper, I've struggled with AIS, aquatic invasive species. How am I going to make this matter to people?
Yeah.
So I haven't actually done anything on that subject ever. But she just and her team continue to come up with really exciting ways of being authentic and real and that kind of funny sort of original song and dance routine of a theatrical interpretive performance, but keeping it real too for people that are part of the group as an adult. So I don't know, just those are two people I think of.
Well, I like how you bring up that they're sort of on opposite ends of the spectrum, and I've talked a lot training new interpreters. Interpretation's like opening a tackle box for fish. You're not going to catch every fish species with one lure, right? You want to catch northern pike, you might pull out that big frog lure or that jointed rapala.
5 of diamonds.
5 of diamonds. You want to catch a grayling, Arctic grayling, or a rainbow trout. You might have a little spinner or a fly.
Panther martin.
Panther martin is the best, better than MEPS. Put it out there. Panther martin, you can sponsor us. But so what's the point? The point is, I think in the fleet of interpretive programs, you need that spectrum. So your Japanese tour guide is going to reach certain people that your big on the stage person might not. They have perhaps a different audience, a different methodology, and all is fair and game in trying to reach people in different ways. And that's the beauty of interpreters, is there's such a spectrum of different ways of engaging people. Like I've talked to a lot of hunters and fishermen in the Northern Rockies that wouldn't be caught dead at an interpretive show. But if I go in the campground with a whole array of elk antlers and mule deer racks and whitetails,
Homemade
boom.
bows, yeah.
I got all these, redneck, shoot 'em up quad guys there, and they're just, I mean, we're chatting for an hour about different ungulate species and getting into it. But it's just knowing what the audience is looking for, right?
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of, I don't know, for stories you want to hear for one group where, sometimes the audience that doesn't really realize they're learning is like the opposite of who would normally engage with you. So, for a period of time, I got to do heli hikes with this Discover Banff Tours company. We had a contract with the guys out of Klein River, and we were doing this 3 or 4 knoll hike that I think is right on the boundary of White Goat Wilderness and Coral Creek Trail, Coral Creek watershed in that area. And we landed on one knoll and we hiked 3-4 knolls over. So, pretty moderate hiking, very easy for the most part. We're hiking along, beautiful sunny day. It was like just gorgeous weather. There was wildlife in the distance. And I had these 3 American doctors who, have, again, Southern drawl and just really loving their whole life and everything out there. Just, as from a guide's perspective, it was like the perfect day. And I'm thinking, man, this might work out well for me at the end of the day. When I got them at their hotel and dropped them off, they tipped me something like enough money that I could pay my rent with. So it was one of the best grats I'd ever had. But I'm also struck by what they told me in the Alpine, where one guy sat beside me while we're eating our lunches. And he says, and you know what? I sure am glad you're not one of them environmental wackos. And I was like, well, what? And go again. And the guy's like, yeah, one of those environmental wackos, the ones who won't stop trying to tell me what to think. And I was just thinking to myself, what do you think I am? Like, how do you think I got into this job? But,
Yeah.
but again, you know, like difference of opinions, difference with your clients. And what's the point of me trying to cross aligned with this fellow, right? He's connected with landscapes in his own way, and sure, whatever you say, sir. I'm glad you enjoyed today,
Right.
right?
Yeah, but you weren't preaching at him or trying to force some doctrine down his throat, and that's what he appreciated, right?
Well, it was a really weird day. Like, I mean, we talked about wildlife, we talked about alpine ecology, we talked about like plants and things, and I don't know how more least of an environmental wacko I
You
could
sound
be.
kind of wacko over there. Yeah.
But it was just out of the blue. I'm like, okay, and and still I made some good coin out of those guys. But anyway,
And you've worked a lot with wildlife jams. Talk to us about some of the
oh boy,
Wildlife
Sure.
jams.
worst wildlife jams.
Sure. Well, just to be clear for the podcast and for my other higher up folks, we're talking about my experience before Parks Canada.
There you
Right.
go.
Yeah, of course. And of course, living in the mountains, you see wildlife jams all the time. I mean, even Scott's been a part of
What's
those.
a wildlife jam?
What's a wildlife jam?
Yeah.
Well, it's like a traffic jam with animals.
Okay.
And in fact, even this evening, while I was commuting back from Jasper to Hinton, right away there's a sheep jam at that first rock cut called Disaster Point. Just around from Rochemiette.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and 4 or 5 trucks stacked, plus 4 or 5 cars, another couple of minivans in the ditch, getting closer. Bighorn sheep on the left, bighorn sheep on the right, like they always are dominating.
That's their spot.
One little sheep licking the salt off the road in the middle, and a lineup of cars stuck. So that would generally be a jam. A wildlife jam in the mountain parks is usually more associated with tourists trying to get a picture, and sometimes because the wildlife just won't get out of the way. But yeah, the ones that I think Scott's getting at, I've worked with the original, before we had the Wildlife Guardians program at Parks Canada, it was called the Living with Wildlife program for the Friends of Banff National Park. So with that, I was a part-time person on a team of people that drive out onto the Ice Fields Parkway. And then when you get these animal jams, wildlife jams, a bear jam, we try to keep people and wildlife separate. So the bear would be maybe off in the distance, people stopping and wanting to take a closer picture.
Yeah.
You're there to be an interpreter, helping them introduce the landscape and the story behind the animal that they're looking at, but do it in a way that they're not blocking traffic and keep it safe. And some people want to follow in and get closer to that wildlife. And it's just bad news written all over it. So we'd be out there trying to convince people, I need you to get back away from that bear, sir. And they would look at you. And different cultures react in different ways when they are asked politely to return back to the vehicle. I would say more international visitors will usually comply with a simple request. Hi, I realize you want to get close to this wildlife, but you're really unsafe. You should return. Okay, sorry, and then just kind of return. I always found that it was the domestic audience that was the hardest one to convince to come back to the car. You can't tell me what to do, right. And it was like, well, no, I can't. But this is my park. And what?
I paid for this.
And I remember this fellow in Banff at it was near Mosquito Creek, literally. And the guy is like, you can't tell me what to do. That's my bear. And I was like, and usually, we have like training to talk to folks, and I did let this one play out. Like, what do you mean? And he says, well, that's my bear, and I paid taxes, and this is my park.
And my
and as a
taxes
Canadian,
paid for
that's
that
my
bear.
bear. And again, this is what my friends at Banff experience. And I was like, well, I'm a local. I live in Banff. Does that make it more my bear than your bear? Well, anyway, I just, no, please return your vehicle. I just show the radio, and I just want to just call a warden, and they come and be more convincing than I can be in my little blue shirt, and please return to your vehicle. But you get lots of wildlife jams on highways and stuff. It's kind of a classic part, unfortunately, of the experience in mountain park tourism. I think most people, once you talk to them about what they're seeing, will realize that getting out of the vehicle and approaching wildlife is a bad idea, not just for the simple fact that it's dangerous to them, but when you explain the habituation factor of repeated exposure to humans in close proximity, people usually buy into that. So
Yeah.
you know.
Well, yeah, and the public safety for sure. Like I've seen European visitors get out of their vehicle and walk up to a giant male grizz in a buffalo berry patch, and they were like across this garage away, and the guy kept walking closer with his camera, and the bear looked up. Animals have expressions, right? I still remember this bear looked up and looked at the man, and you could see the bear's expression like, you idiot, you do realize I could kill you within 5 seconds, right? You could see that expression on the bear's face, and the guy just luckily didn't get charged, but bears moving at 40 feet a second, had that bear decided to retaliate aggressively, he wouldn't have stood a chance. So there is a safety aspect, or I see it all the time with the bull elk. People think they're just majestic, beautiful creatures, not realizing how powerful they really are, especially in the rut, right?
Yeah. And it just takes every year. There's one or two silly videos that end up on YouTube or wherever, where some bystander has taken a video of another visitor getting charged by an elk. It goes viral and makes a whole bunch of CBC requests. And next thing you know, it's going
or
around.
Bison. You worked in wood buffalo. I've seen bison on camera throw a guy over a tree, like literally a full-grown man, just hook him by the horns and whip him over a spruce tree. Just the sheer strength of those things.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, fortunately, I never got close enough to bison to really appreciate their power, so to speak. But wood buffalo was out of all the parks I worked in, definitely the wildest. Not a lot of there are some cool interpretive experiences up there. I know that Parks Canada has an interpretive program where they do hiking guides to things like to the salt plains and whatnot. But I think if I did any interpretive work up there, I think the one thing I could remember that would be cool to talk about would be we got to do some of the first school programs right after COVID and bringing that back to kids in Yellowknife. So,
cool.
Yeah. And that's where interpretation can sometimes take other forms, like more of like an outreach education focus, where you may be able to, as an interpreter or educator, take samples of natural experiences and take it to an urban center and share it with people in an area that people don't expect to see you at all.
Right.
And Yellowknife is hardly an urban center, but in Yellowknife's context, it's a 20,000 person city.
Yeah.
There are people who live in Yellowknife that never get out of that city.
Yeah.
And so to come from Wood Buffalo, which seems like the wild, wild wilderness, Yellowknife itself is in the wild, wild wilderness, and bring that little bit of cool stuff to them was really cool. So anyway,
And for our European listeners, Wood Buffalo National Park is larger than Switzerland, I believe, or close. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Isn't that crazy? Just to put that into scale, the size of some of these parks. Now, you've also done some work with ice walks, including rescue and first aid type scenarios. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, with Discovery Banff Tours, again, for a while, that was a summer and winter gig. So I'd spent 3 winters in Yellowknife. Then I went full-time with Discovery Banff for about 3 or 4 seasons, because, again, the year, it was just such regular employment and really good place to make money. So it was a great place to work. We did ice walks in Johnson Canyon and Grotto Canyon, just outside of Canmore. And so totally different experiences. So Johnson Canyon, if folks have ever been there, it's pretty famous, but it's also really just a trail. So you don't walk on the frozen ice per se. The iciest thing is the trail itself, which is lubricated by people with sneakers shuffling up and down the ice, trying to get a closer look at the waterfalls, who really should have worn ice cleats, ignore the Parks Canada signs, and then just walk up anyway.
Yeah.
So as a hiking guide, your biggest factor there is less about keeping your group safe from the conditions as it is about the sliding tourist who's going to land in your group's face. But yeah, so that's Johnston Canyon, and I had one story about that. The other canyon, Grotto Canyon, is a bit more like natural areas closer to Hinton, like Moline Canyon and Ogre Canyon, where you're walking in on an ice frozen surface, and a bit of a different scenario that kind of happened there. So the one story I can tell you about, like Johnson Canyon, was a bit of a lesson in group management. I was up with a group of 12 people with Discover Banff Tours. I was a senior guide at the time, and doing a guide evaluation for another staff person. So we were co-guiding the group, but basically I was there to sort of, see how she's managing her group and interpret delivery was going throughout the day. We ran up to the Upper Falls, and it's about 3 kilometers off the highway. And when we got there, there was a fellow tending his girlfriend on one of the benches where we normally stop to have hot chocolate before you go around on the catwalk to the Upper Falls. And so not quite normal setting. So we sent the group on up. I stopped to talk to him and 2 Aussies. The girl was crying in pain, and the guy was really frantic. I need help. And okay, calm down, sir. What kind of happened here?
Yeah.
And what had happened is you get a lot of these tourists that like to walk to the end of the catwalk, and at the Upper Falls it looks like fluffy snow, but it's actually a number of big boulders and rocks on the surface of the canyon. And this girl, I guess, had jumped off the catwalk thinking she was going into snow and broken her foot. And so, when my group came back, I had just been talking to the fellow about this situation. The guide's name, I can name Joanne, looked at me and, do you need help with this? And I'm like, look, I need you to take the group down, get out of here. But down at the bottom where they have cell coverage, call Parks Canada and let them know that we're up here. And I need rescue. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to stay with this person. And I'm no threat to me because I'm 3 kilometers off. I've got my backpack and my gear, some warm clothes to keep her comfortable. But, this is probably going to go downhill. So I'm going to stay here. So go initiate a rescue. So she went down with a group, called Parks Canada. And I spent about 3 hours keeping the Aussie fellow and his girlfriend company. And what ended up happening is, during the balance of the wait, you probably hear these situations where, keep the person busy, go make a fire. And that's exactly what this Aussie fellow, her boyfriend, I guess, was like. He was like, I don't understand why Parks Canada isn't here. It's like, it's been an hour and a half. What's going on? It's like, well, just, they're going to do their best and we're just a short distance away, but just take a deep breath and my girlfriend's really in pain and it really upping her anxiety level. And it was literally like that. So I literally said, why don't you go find some wood and we're going to make a fire. Can you go gather some firewood? Yeah, okay. And he went off like right over there. And it just gave us like 5 minutes of like calm time with his girlfriend. And like, okay, so how are you doing? Oh, it's terrible and it hurts. And I'm like, well, yeah. I would talk her into a different line of conversation. She starts to really sort of come around and she's a little bit more on an even level. Anxiety level drops. A little bit more comfortable even though she's in pain. And like, okay, she'd been wearing sneakers, a pretty bad thing to jump into the snow with. Mm-hmm. Guy came back a little bit more frantic, but a little more calmed down, feeling like he'd done something. And then Parks Canada brought a mountain rescue from Lake Louise and from Banff. So both field units, both operation centers arrived. There's 7 that arrived within like a 3-hour time frame.
Wow.
Which is actually really good response time, I think.
Yeah.
And that she was at the Upper Falls, which is about 3 kilometers away, but they brought a snowmobile up from the Moose Meadows trailhead, which is a different trail, up around to the top. We kind of brought her up on a one-wheeled contraption called a Furno, which is like a sled on a big kind of like a quad looking tire in the center.
Okay.
Rolled her up the hill, packed her into like a toboggan sled that was hitched to the back of the snowmobile, and the snowmobile brought her down to a waiting Parks Canada vehicle, and they took her away for Emerge at Banff. What's it called? Mineral Springs Hospital, whatever. So that's one. And I guess the other. What's the other crazy story I could share? Just
you had a Medicine Lake fall through the ice thing.
Yeah. Well, that's a different thing. That's at Parks Canada. I was at work and I was taking a group snowshoeing, and again, a good idea is really checking your ice thickness beforehand. Now, again, Medicine Lake, if you know that area, it's a very temperamental lake.
It's tricky.
Yeah, and so I kind of knew where I was going, so I thought, but I just kind of punched through. In front of my group, me, the snowshoe guide, leading people, and I just fell through with one foot, and I brought my foot up out of the water after. All my group members were looking at me, a little bit of disbelief. I'm like, well, let's not walk there, and we kind of moved over to the side. One of my coworkers had noticed that, and we had to file that as what's called a near miss for people working occupational health and safety. You guys know well what a near miss is. So now whenever I do a snowshoe program on frozen ice, particularly in national parks, I always test the ice thickness. So last winter I made sure to go test it out 3 times with an ice screw for ice climbing in 3 different locations. But
Medicine Lake's tricky. I've snowshoed it quite a few times, and
Big time.
you can be on 2 foot thick ice one step, and the next step you're right through because of the moving water that's trickling through there, right? It's
and I thought
definitely
I was far enough over to the side, not over underneath that moving water stuff. So I know full well not to take my people there, but apparently not quite enough. So, but I guess one of the good things about being, I guess, a good interpretive guide is being humble to learn from those experiences. Sitting through, in my case, a visitor safety specialist who was the occupational health and safety union rep for us at parks. He sat through and coached me through, what I should do in the future, and just listen to those words, take them seriously, and then apply it to your next time out, which I still do.
Yeah, nothing's ever risk-free out in the bush and the mountains, right? We try to mitigate it, but...
I want to talk a little bit about Kev Ged photography, too, or your Kev Ged photo.
Sure.
Because you're like photographer.
Yeah.
Some amazing pictures.
Thanks.
I have a couple would you rathers, too, for...
Oh, I do, too.
For photo ones, too.
Oh, okay. Well...
This was actually, it was kind of like a podcast question of the week, but I wanted to get Kevin's take on this one too. Sunrise or sunset? Do you have a preference for, let's say you have like your dream location. Would you rather be there sunrise or sunset to take a photo?
Sunrise.
Sunrise?
Yeah. For sure.
How come?
How come?
Yeah.
Not to sound cheesy, but I think there's a bit more of a societal pressure. No, more like spiritual experience to the sunrise. It's the beginning of things. It's that optimism of starting a new day. So many cultures are wrapped around the importance of a sunrise. For me, I think of in Japanese culture, with my family's kind of mixed background with Japanese. Mount Fuji, as being a place that I've never been on the top of to see the sunrise, but it's incredibly popular and one of the most important places you can be to see one. So, and the few sunrises I've been able to get myself out of bed to photograph. I'm better at sunsets in that regard. But, that's, you just have a different experience starting the day that way.
You are on par with our voting. So I just checking our voting here. 53% of the poll results came in sunrise would be their preferred photo taking. Scott, you got a sunrise, sunset?
I got to say, it depends where you are. When people want to photograph the eastern slopes here, I always tell them get up early and get that Alpenglue, the glowing mountains. They're pink and beautiful. You have to get up for the sunrise, so that light is hitting the mountains. If you try to take photos from here when the sun is setting in the west, they're just going to be silhouetted and dark. So, location is everything. But I have also seen some great sunset photos with the Alpenglue, pointing the other way in the evening. So, to me, it depends where you are. And I've seen beauty on both angles. Right? They talk about the golden hour of light, sunrise and sunset. Which you get those stark shadows and beautiful colors. Absolutely.
Kevin, I've been following along with your Instagram pictures there too. I noticed you post a lot of the regrowth of jasper. Is that something like you working in Jasper, you're going out there regularly, you really become attached to, seeing the things growing?
Totally. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, partly because, of course, I lived in Jasper for a long time.
Yeah.
And then, I moved away to Wood Buffalo National Park for a bit. I came back, and though, I clearly live in Hinton, I bought a house here because it's a cool community, the Weaver Boardwalk. I like the bigger school for my daughter, but the more different take on the valley.
Yeah.
But seeing the wildfire, and just, I guess in my interpretive career, I've had a chance to work around a lot of different prescribed fires and wildfires,
Mm-hmm.
and just sort of know how wildfire landscapes regenerate and how it comes back. And then just having so many friends that were impacted by the Jasper wildfire, every time I see green things to take a photo of, I kind of point my lens at it. And I just think, especially in the early days of the Jasper wildfire, we had so much hairy media and oversharing of destruction photography. And we're not talking Parks Canada. We're just talking
in
people
general,
were just
yeah.
so switched on to
Yeah.
the disaster side, which is terrible. But, my friends and people I know from Jasper really, really need to see something positive. And so, again, my experience around a little bit with wildfire is seeing things regrow. I know things will. And then just having an opportunity to see these things emerging for the first time in different places, and just to be able to capture them and document them and share them with people is really important. Without going too far down the Parks Canada hole for 2 seconds, I took shots of one location that no one ever goes to in Jasper National Park. It's called Otto's Cache. It's a picnic area on the way to Whirlpool,
Okay.
on 93A. And last year it was like a total ash pit with a couple of little regeneration stubs coming out of aspen trees. And then I turned around and came back a month or so ago at the same location, rephotographed it, and it was some of the viniest looking aspen regrowth
Oh, cool.
in the whole park that I'd seen. And I put the two photos together, and I just made a simple Facebook post on my own channel,
Yeah.
which, no big deal, and a few people liked it. And then one of my coworkers, she posted it on her wall in the park office, where her job is totally all about the vegetation management of the park.
Okay.
So
yeah.
you know what I mean? She was kind of inspired by that photo. So I see that kind of inspiration, and that just kind of drives me to want to shoot more cool things of, green plants coming back from what people think of as a charred landscape.
It's optimistic, right? Like it's
Yeah.
wonderful to see that regrowth. It gives you some hope
Yeah.
that
Well, and I really like
organic
countering
soil's returning. Yeah.
people like to say, oh, and it's so destroyed. It's like, well, it's not destroyed. Like fire's a natural process,
Yeah.
so it's just really cool to sort of counter that narrative a little bit. Yeah. And of course, I have a small following on my page, but that's what I look for and aim for.
Kev Ged photo on Instagram. Check
Yeah.
it out. I love your pictures.
Thanks.
This is a would you rather that
Okay.
I think it's a deep one.
Uh-oh.
Would you rather lose all the photos you've ever taken or never be able to take pictures again?
What? Go again?
You lose.
Both
Need more
sound
scotch?
hard.
What are we talking about?
both scenarios not great.
Okay.
So you lose all the photos you've ever taken, or you're never able to take pictures again.
But you get to keep all the historic photos you have.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would rather keep the photos I've already got, because it includes my family and my daughter growing up.
Okay.
Yeah. If we
Deep.
took that out of the equation,
Yeah.
just straight like scenic photos, I'd go for the future ones for sure, because I know I'm better at doing what I do now, and I could reshoot whatever I wanted.
Yeah. Are you shooting?
But if you took my family in the equation, all the pictures of my family, no, you can't.
Yeah.
Right? So I think I just screwed up your question.
No, that's the right answer. I'm thinking. Scott, what's your answer to that?
Man, I was thinking I would lose the old photos, but now that you mentioned the family
Okay,
thing,
so let's just say just nature.
if it's just
photos
nature,
then.
I
Oh,
would
well,
look
then, no
ahead.
problem.
Yeah. But I do have a horror story where I saved so many of my photos. And here's the problem, right? We take so many and then we put them on flash drives. I had a flash drive go corrupt.
Yeah.
And I lost years of amazing photos, places in the Northern Rockies that nobody gets to, and sunsets and horses and waterfalls. And I just felt sick, like they're gone forever, right? So back up your backups, I think, is the message, because flash drives can corrupt, your hard drive can corrupt. It's we used to do the CD-ROMs and all that stuff, but nothing's bomb-proof, right? I mean, I guess the iCloud, supposedly, but
you guys subscribe $10 a month or something.
that's right.
Yeah.
And I'm cheap,
Yeah.
so yeah.
No. I mean, I keep my photo hard drives in a lockbox, like a storage box, and I think if we had to something ever happened at our community, we had to evacuate. The only thing that's coming with me is the hard drives.
The hard drives.
Yeah, in my laptop. That's it. Like everything else insurance has got it.
You got a couple would you rather?
Oh man, I got some good ones here. We'll do a guiding one. Would you rather be guiding a group in a lightning storm in a high alpine meadow? Okay, no place to hide. Lightning. Yeah. Or you're guiding a group in a violent windstorm in a forest with trees and branches breaking all around you.
Well, I'm going to take the windstorm and the branches because I know a person who actually had a lightning strike hit his group.
Oh, wow.
In the Lake Louise area. So that's too real. That could actually happen. And so,
did people
so
die,
I'll go with the other one.
They got injured or?
Well, long story is it was the person was injured and it wasn't great.
Wow.
Yeah. Many years ago.
Yeah.
But
how about you, George?
I'll take the other one.
I feel like for the guiding experience, I want the lightning strike and like for photos opportunities and stuff. And I was guiding, and then we were in the lightning, and I feel like that's more of an experience than the windy forest.
If people survive, you're getting a great tip.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a tricky one. I've been struck by lightning. I have real respect for it. But
Are you afraid of lightning now?
Like you afraid of anything,
distance,
George?
It's like, I gotta get out of here.
I'm afraid of nothing.
I'm afraid of nothing, man. No, I respect it, because I grew up thinking, lightning's just like fireworks in the sky. I wasn't afraid of it until my house was struck once, and then my body was struck. So now I'm like, I gotta take this a little more serious, right? Yeah, that's a tough one. I think you're actually safer in the forest with branches breaking than a lightning strike is really like a bomb coming down on you. But so is a tree. They're both horrible.
Yeah. No, and the few experiences I know of it, like it's never happened close to me, but I just hear just bad stories from anyone who's ever been near that. So it's
usually on the golf course. That's where most people die. Let that be a warning to you, George.
Well, I'm not a golf guide, so.
No, there you go. You got another would you rather?
Not a great one. No.
Okay, let's hear the horrible one.
You want to hear the horrible one?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather have a turtle shell that you can't take off or a skunk smell that you can't turn off? So you have a giant turtle shell.
Oh, man. That's actually a pretty good one.
Or skunk
That's
smell.
a 4 a.m. around the campfire, would you rather? Yeah.
And are you writing these or people give you these?
I've been writing these, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, if you do have a good would you rather, send us in because
yeah. That would be
we're
good.
always looking for ones each
rather have a
episode.
turtle shell?
You'd have a turtle shell?
Sure. I think so. Makes you more versatile. You can survive in harsher environments.
That's true. Yeah.
As a guide, you can survive lightning strikes.
Yeah.
Or fall on trees.
I think the turtle shell's the way to go because the skunk smell, you could never hang out with people ever again.
Well, the turtle shell.
As a weed smoker, you beg to differ.
Yeah. The turtle shell, I feel like you're just it's tough finding clothing.
That's what I thought. You just throw a big trench coat over it, and you just look like a very large man.
Right? Yeah, giant trench. Okay.
And maybe, if you get attacked by the grizz.
Yeah. Well, I know. Yeah. Once Kevin brought that up, now that I'm like, okay, actually, you could use it as protection.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm going turtle shell too. Then. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I got another guiding one, and these both of these have happened to me, so I'm curious.
Okay.
Would you rather be leading an outdoor program with an out-of-control grade 9 class? That's always the trickiest bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Or leading a family program with 2 very drunk and belligerent men?
In the audience?
Tough.
Yeah.
Only?
Only 2 drunks.
Are they the only?
Yeah, there's only 2. Well, you've had just a bunch of... Well, I've had a lot of inebriated men. Usually they'll come to a program... And they bring these, what they look, Bubba Keg style mugs.
Yeah.
And they're just loaded with rum and coke, but 99% of them can hold it together.
Yeah.
And they're just really happy to be there, so they're fine.
Yeah.
But every now and then you get the angry drunk or the guy yelling at the back. So
Yeah.
you rather deal with 2 drunks in your crowd or grade 9s who are completely out of control?
Well, again, because I've dealt with lots of drunks in my life, and particularly as a cab driver long before I completed my
Yeah, I
class 4.
suppose,
Yeah, I had my share of dealing with drunks, and I just don't need any more of that.
Okay.
I mean, it's not trauma. I'm just joking, but no, yeah, I'd definitely take the grade 9s for sure. Because the thing is that even when you think that the grade 9s in your group are they're off the charts, they're running around, they're not learning anything. At the end of the day, the teacher's always like, "Thank you." You're like, "What?"
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to do anything I was here to do with these kids.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, that was awesome. They had a great experience." I'm like, "Doing what?"
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. Grade 6s, grade 9s, grade ever, anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We were all grade 9 boys at
I
one
don't know.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the grade 9s anytime.
All
Thanks.
right. How about you, George?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing that too. I feel like the grade 9s, like there's a chance where you might be able to like turn them a bit. You know, it's like, oh, they're interested in this. Now there's a giant net full of fish. Okay, we got them. Whereas the drunk guys, like it's just they're probably just getting drunker, and it's just like this is not. You know, hopefully they'll pass out or. Yeah, I'm going grade 9s too then. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned the fish because my horror story with grade 9s, I've had plenty of great grade 9s. I love them. But I talked to you about my favorite interpretive program was at Seine Net with all the fish.
Yeah.
I had 60 grade 9s. All the teachers buggered off and lay under the trees.
Yeah.
It was a hot day, so all these kids ran into the lake with swimsuits, and we caught thousands of fish. And I told them we got to be really careful, catch and release.
Yeah.
And they started fish fighting
Oh,
with
jeez.
fistfuls
Oh,
of fish, whipping them at each other. You got
Wow.
60 kids, and I was like, how many fish are dying right now? So, yeah, that probably goes down as my worst ever interpretive experience. I was probably 22 years old at the time, right?
Yeah.
Still kind of learning group management, and all these teachers were nowhere to be found. So yeah, that was a rough experience.
What's the OH&S lady say about that sort of thing then? Eh?
Well, yeah, I was very close to turning into a wild man. I was so mad, all these fish dying. But yeah, no, I was a grade 9 boy, so I know what it's like.
I was reading a book, chapter in your book last night where you guys were fighting with vegetables.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
raiding the neighbors'
Yeah.
gardens and having a bloody fight with vegetables.
Yeah.
That was
Fighting
long
with
before grade
vegetables.
9. Yeah.
I need more scotch.
Yeah. Well, there's more there. Okay, got one more.
Okay.
This one's not guiding. This is for us. We go camping.
Mhm.
Would you rather sleep in a tent full of biting mosquitoes? Now, I'm not talking, there's 3 in there that are buzzing around your ears. I'm talking the thing is packed full. They're vicious. Okay. And outside is no worse. Or you have to sleep under a tree in steady rain.
I'd take the tree in steady rain because I've been in the mosquito situation too
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
already, and I just I'll go for the rain.
Interesting. How about you,
Rain
George?
sounds good to me.
I feel, man, I'm trying to picture the mosquitoes. Like I just hunker underneath my sleeping bag, I guess.
But they can
I'm gonna
still get you.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get much sleep either way. I'm gonna go tree. No, I'm gonna go tent. No, I'm gonna go tree. Yeah, I'm going tree.
It's an interesting dilemma.
Yeah.
I went to a bushcraft convention years ago, and we had Survivor Man who, he's not the best survivalist, but he's well known. We had
Les Stroud?
Les Stroud was
Yeah.
there. Morris Kahansky, the Swedish guru, Lars. Lars was there. So some of these big names, big guy from the States, and they were all asked about their worst nightmares in wilderness survival.
Yeah.
And they were all bug related.
Really? Eh?
Like
yeah.
over hypothermia, over bears, over cuts. Like when the bugs are so insane that you can't breathe, it's just, you go crazy, right?
What's the solution?
Cigars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the Klondike, they would smear, well, if you don't have DEET, you can use yarrow on the skin. It kind of works tansy, but if it's really bad, you'll do what hippos and rhinos will do, and you'll roll in the mud,
Just
put
mud
clay
covered.
pack your face,
Yeah.
and smoke. Yeah, you need a smudge
Yeah.
to keep them away.
Oh wow. Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to sleep that way. I've been there.
When we lived in Wood Buffalo National Park, I mean, it was right during COVID, so we really, really needed to get out. And and I think we got up there and realized just how bad the bugs were. We went for a drive down from Fort Smith to a place called Pine Lake, which is a little recreation park right in the middle of the national park. Really cool place to visit. And then we just had images of going to this nice white sand beach, which factors into all of the park's like marketing of its visitor experience opportunities.
Yeah.
We got there, went for the walk on the beach. Turns out that the mosquitoes are off the charts on the beach more than anywhere else. And so I went and stood out in the water, and they don't get you as much in the water for some reason. So really nice and shallow. But my wife, she didn't quite want to come in the water because the bugs were so bad. And I ended up with this photo of this cloud of mosquitoes chasing her all around. And it's just like, she had the most emotional face and holding her face down. She's almost crying. And I felt really bad for her, but I took a photo and entered it in a photo contest in Yellowknife, and I got a runner-up.
There you go.
But yeah, that's how bad the mosquitoes can be.
Well,
So
they say, in the caribou country there with the black flies
terrible.
and mosquitoes, the caribou will go so crazy they start stampeding.
Yeah.
They're just gone mad, right?
Yeah.
I can see it when bugs are that bad.
Yeah, no, they're the what people say about northern mosquitoes. It's absolutely true, and I know we even tried. I can talk about parks a little bit. I tried writing like a website about bugs that was rejected because it was too honest. And it's like, we should really tell visitors what it's like here. And it's like, no, people won't come.
Yeah.
And anyway, whatever. So
Can we,
okay.
I don't know if this might be, I know we're like kind of walking a fine line talking about parks. Can we talk about Meltdown?
Oh yeah, sure we can. Meltdown's great. Yeah.
That's a new art. Can you give us the breakdown for what you created there?
Well, I certainly didn't create it. It's actually the work of two really awesome mountaineers, a guy named Jim Elzinga,
Okay.
and his partner named Roger Vernon. And basically, I mean, if no one knows who Jim Elzinga is, if they're listening to this, I hope they Google him right after, because as far as like mountain lore in the Rockies is concerned, he's put up, I think, like a whole bunch of first ascent routes in modern times on many peaks, including big prominent ones like the Snow Dome and Andromeda, and I think there's a couple. Anyway, but what Meltdown is they've been going around and doing photography of certain glaciers in the Columbia Icefield area, and with those photos, creating, I say, the highest resolution art photography you've probably ever seen using a camera company called Phase One. And the photography has been blown up, mounted, was shown at the White Museum of the Canadian Rockies in Banff last spring, and it now is in the Glacier Gallery at the Icefield Center. So it has been this year and will be for the next 2 or 3 years as well.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So these guys, they're part of the Guardians of the Ice, which is a nonprofit which is aimed at trying to just raise awareness and appreciation for the importance of the ice field and glaciers and what can people do about climate change. So there's a little bit of philosophical bent to some of that, but the photography is absolutely intense. And so that's essentially what Meltdown is. It's a redo of this Glacier Gallery space at the Columbia Icefield Center.
Yeah. That's like a spot that I haven't spent enough time on. Like, we drive by every now and again and we'll go in and check the gift store out, whatever, but we haven't like done the tour, and
Yeah.
it's on the list of.
It's a beautiful area.
Yeah.
It is spectacular. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So it's a really amazing, as far as photography goes, it's absolutely.
And one of the few places
Wonderful
you can
stuff.
drive into the Alpine in Alberta, well, let's say Canada, period.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And
Regarded as one of the most beautiful highways in the world. Look it up. Icefield Parkway. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was on the Parks Canada brochure for many years. It was like Icefields Parkway, the most scenic highway in the world. And then I would, again, tour guide shtick, actually start that when you pull off Highway 1 onto Highway 93, and then I would play that up and, you know, make people feel a little cheesy.
Yeah.
You're on the most scenic highway in the world. And I would actually pull up to the gate, and the gate, usually the staff want to wave me through, and I'd pull over and like talk to the gate staff as an interpretive guide and say, hey, can you tell me, is this the most scenic highway in the world? And gate staff, a couple of them get to know you. And I was like, just get out of here, Kevin. But yeah, I'd always grab brochures and send them back and see, it says most scenic highway in the world. And anyway. Yeah.
Do you have a bucket list spot you want to go, like to do some photography, anything like that?
Bucket list place. Oh yeah, for sure. I think, Antarctica.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Antarctica. One of those, not one of those rich people cruises, but my own private, that won't happen, but thing. And South Georgia Island, particularly, not Antarctica, but near Antarctica, with just the glacial ecosystems there and penguins and stuff. It just seems amazingly epic.
Have you been to Japan?
Yeah, I've been to Japan a few times, like 5 times. Yeah.
Okay. That's on like our list too, is like go to Japan, maybe rent a van or something and drive around. Any recommendations for a Japan trip?
Oh yeah, maybe. I mean, I lived in Japan for a year or a bit, like in Kyoto and Osaka, of course, like when it was, you know, before my daughter was born. Yeah. But if I could think one cool place, there's a hike in a place called Daisenji, which is like Daisen Oki National Park. It's in Tottori, which is like a prefecture of Japan, like provinces, they have prefectures. And it's a national park where it's a lesser famous volcano hike, but it was really, really intense, where it was about 4.5 kilometers, and it gains 1,000 meters in about 4.5 kilometers.
Wow.
Almost.
Sheesh.
And it's stairs.
Steep. Yeah. You're going straight up.
Rock stairs. So, and the fun part is that it was built by Buddhist monks who had a temple at the top. And they built all the stairs, but they're all different sizes of stairs. So if you want to exhaust yourself, it's really awesome that way. Yeah. Because, you know, people like to get in a rhythm, the stair climbing thing. It's not like that. It's step, 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 step. Yeah. Step, 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 step. Oh, big step, long step, big step, root, rock, step, for like 4 kilometers, 1,000 meter up. And then of course the fun part is, in our case, when you're hiking in the Rockies, like, the higher you go, you can always count on a cool breeze to sort of cool down your gusts and stuff. But up there, it doesn't happen that way. The higher you go, you still get this humidity the higher you go. So even when you break tree line, they have alpine. When you break tree line, you're still getting hot, humid air coming off the ocean because you've just gone from like 200 meters to like 1,200 meters. You're not actually... Right? Like you're still getting this hot, sticky, humid air. So humidity is a factor I wasn't quite prepared for. But
and there's black bears in Asiatic black bears in Japan, correct? And I think they can be quite dangerous, which shocked me because it's so populated. And look it up. There's actual bear attacks. I think Canada, you know, we're the Wild West here, Russia, right? But you wouldn't think of needing your bear spray in Japan.
Well, black bears in the main island, Japan, and then in the northern island, Hokkaido, there's a very large population concentration in especially Shiratoko National Park, which is the northern part of Japan, of like brown bears, essentially grizzly bears. In that area. So
and the Asiatic black bears got quite a temper from what I hear. So be on guard, man.
You been there yet, Scott?
I haven't. No.
It's on our list. There was cheap flights this year to Japan, and we were like, do we do it? Is this the one? We're going to Costa Rica instead because it was like
that sounds
shorter
great.
flights.
Yeah.
But I think once our kid gets a little older, we're like, Japan is kind of the next.
I think the food in Japan would just be one of the best parts of the trip. I love Japanese food, cuisine. Yeah.
Well, and it's a lot easier to travel in Japan, I think, than people realize. It's oh my God, I need to hold a whole nother language. Well, not really. Like, especially when you arrive like in Tokyo and just go to like Kyoto or Osaka or even like off the beaten track, like people are really friendly and really positive, and it's really easy to like grab a transit map and follow your way. And a lot of the stations, everything kind of like is in English and Japanese. So, you know, it's actually hard to get lost in Japan, I found. So. Not that I was trying to get lost, but
As we wind down the podcast,
yeah.
do you have any advice for someone just to get back into, interpretive guiding,
Sure.
that sort of thing?
Yeah.
For someone that's, in high school or college, like to get into that field?
Yeah, for sure. I think two things is that one, it's always important to get a college education and try to get a degree in things if you can do. But guiding is very accessible to a lot of different professions and groups. So you don't necessarily need to be an academic genius to be a really good interpretive guide.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think number one is that I think it's a very accessible profession, but I think having a realistic expectation that it's very seasonal work and having an adventurous mindset so that you can go from one contract to a next and do that for as long as it takes until you land like the full-time job. And the first few years of I think any profession are probably like that, but interpretive guiding especially so. And I think number two is just I think getting like a decent commercial driving experience is important stuff. So getting class 4, class 2 license just makes you a bit more versatile, so that when you have those slow lulls in between contracts with guiding, there are other things to fall back on. And again, horror stories part 2, we could always do a thing about strange driving jobs that Kevin had for a period. There was one winter before I came on with Parks Canada that I actually very quickly looked at working for a certain casino in the Bow Valley as a shuttle driver in between guiding gigs. And I had one day with them. I realized how terrible a fit that would have been, and I stopped myself immediately and never did that again with my class 2. I can't talk more than that, but
the old one-day job. That's you're not gonna like it when it's
no,
one day.
No, but having your class 2, it's just important to have versatility.
Yeah.
In an industry where you're based on other people's ability to spend money and travel.
Mm-hmm.
So just having some versatility, a class 2 I think really helps with a lot of things. And then you can work in as a ski shuttle driver, or you can be a rafting driver,
right.
And those driving jobs sound like, oh my God, but they're actually like super fun. People appreciate it.
You have a lot of the right kind of people.
Yeah. Side gigs, good conversations with people.
Yeah.
They'll sometimes stick a camera in your hand and you're running down the side of the river and taking pictures of the raft as it goes floating by. Get back in your van and back in your school bus and drive down and meet the group. But they're really crazy days, but they're really fun. Build a lot of character. So I think those would be my advice: is college education if you can, but understanding that it's very accessible to people.
Yeah.
And getting some kind of a little bit of commercial driving experience behind you, so you have options. Yeah.
Kev Ged Photo on Instagram. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, sure.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure, and I'm glad that I didn't get into too many crazy stories. I
don't think you got into any trouble. I think you're safe.
No. I could tell you one story that I didn't share.
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if this makes it in or not. But okay. Well, so again, most of the hazards that I personally experienced as a guide were mostly to do with the other people on the trails and roads that I deal with. So I had one great day where I was up at the ice fields and I was coming back down with my group, small group of about 6 people that were in my van. And back in the day before they had twinned the highway at Lake Louise, there was a 70 zone that was designed to protect bears, and a 20 zone at the intersection where you were leading into the 70 zone designed to protect bears. And so as I was driving down into this thing, there was another wildlife jam, which at the time I had built feelings up for, because previous summer I'd had that other job, the previous part-time job I talked about. And when I was coming into this, there was a crowd of people, a crowd of vehicles all looking around and looking at one direction. And I started anticipating a black bear, because I've seen this happen before, run out in front of my vehicle. And I got a little bit closer. And at the peripheral of my eye, from the other side, not the spot I was anticipating, this black object ran in front of my vehicle. And of course I was doing the limit. So it was 20 zone. I maybe had 20 or 22 on my speedo. I locked my brakes. All my group went forward. And I surged and I clipped this black bear.
Oh, wow.
And the paws went what whap into the ditch. And I'm like, fudge, right? Yeah. And oh my God. And like all my group's like, like, are you guys okay? Guys, okay, everyone's fine. So I looked at around, okay, got out of my vehicle. Flashers on, of course, because I'm in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Took a look at the front of my van, and miraculously, there's like 0 damage to my van. I'm like, oh my God, okay, well, okay, I'm not in trouble. Sort of. Then I was like, okay, looking at this black bear, and it's like, if you've ever seen like a hot dog, when it's like in the hottest 35 Celsius weather, panting, right? Like it's like that kind of thing, breathing. Oh my God, this thing's dead. So I call Parks Canada Dispatch, 762-1470, and I'm like, hi, Discovery Map Tours. I've just like clipped a black bear, and I'm like, oh, calm down. I'm like, I've just like, please send someone to euthanize this black bear. I'm like, okay. And then I end the phone call with them, and we're like 5 minutes out of Lake Louise, so it won't be long. I called my operations manager, a guy named Frank, if he's listening, and he says, so what's happened? I said, well, just get the communications ready. Why? Because, well, I've just hit a black bear in the 20 zone designed to protect bears at Lake Louise. You what? And like, I didn't do it. Anyway, but okay. So I'll so they're knowing that this might make the outlook. So anyway, backs up. Parks Canada arrives. A couple of bystanders decided to stick around and say, hey, we're going to stick with you. We saw what happened. This wasn't your fault. The bear had just run out in front of you in this crazy situation. And thank you for that. And so this warden, like about the time everybody's a park warden, comes up to me, looks at me and looks around and says, okay, well, looks like you've done everything you can do. I'm going to monitor the bear and see what happens. I'm like, monitor? What? And it's like, whatever. And then it's sort of like got up on its like legs actually and stood up and walked into the forest. Like an old man had been punched in the shoulder, thump, and walked into the trees. And then he says, yeah, I'm just going to monitor. You can carry on. I'm like, I can't believe he got up and walked away. And so we got in the van, drove away. All my group was like, oh, you did your best, everyone like that. My tips were through the roof. And
do it again, Kevin.
Not that that's the most important thing. Yeah. And the funny part is that a couple days later, the guy called me and he says, hey, Kev, I just want to let you know that your black bear actually lived. Yeah. And so like I clipped this black bear, went into the forest, totally survived. That's probably something that happens to a lot of people on the 93. And the really weird part is that the guy's name was Brian, and he worked for Parks Canada for the longest time as one of the most dedicated human wildlife conflict specialists in Lake Louise. And then I ran into him again for the first time ever, like 15 years later in media training in Jasper. And he was sitting across the table. I'm like, are you Brian? He says, you're that guy. And I'm like, I am the guy. Oh my God. And like no one else in the group understood the context. And now I have him on Facebook and follow him along, but I won't name his last name, but he'd be a good guy to put on this too. He's got stories.
Bears are tough. They're amazingly tough.
So I guess, have that class of license in case you hit a bear and you lose your job. And
exactly.
Have another
backup plan.
Occupation. No. Anyway.
Scott, Northern Rockies Bushcraft, the website, you have a website now,
NorthernRockiersBushcraft.com. Yeah, check it out.
It's sweet, and it's like a link to all, if you want to get the book in whatever form, you can get it there easy.
Yeah, you can run, but you cannot hide. The book is around every corner now, so there's no excuse.
Yeah, by the time this episode comes out too, I mean, your physical copies throughout Hinton soon. Like the next few
I got a crate of books coming this week. I'm doing a book launch November 12th if you guys want to.
Oh, cool.
It's campfires and bushcraft stories. I'm going to have some stuff at the Hinton Library.
Yeah.
We're going to pack the house. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Good times. So
awesome.
Come on out if
this
you're bored.
This book made from like extra flammable paper too, so you can take it with you.
It's all made from birch bark,
right.
Personally harvested.
Yeah. Should get you to do it at the Jasper Library too.
Oh, that's next, man.
Okay.
There you go.
That's next.
Cool.
Thanks again, Kevin, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, thanks.
good
It's been
time,
fun.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then our website up and running now too, so you can go to wildernesswavelength.com and find links to all this stuff, and we'll have links to Kevin's Instagram too, so you can follow along with Kevin's pictures. Okay, until next week, stay wild.
Wilderness Wavelength.